September 11th, 2001. A date that changed the world forever.
Our very freedom came under attack.
Within just a few hours, the skyline of New York was shattered. Thousands of lives were lost, and the world stepped into a new era of fear, war, and surveillance. This is not just the story of an attack, it's the story of what the world never fully understood about it. The morning of September 11th, 2001, began like any other day. The sky over New York was clear blue, the streets alive with the usual energy. Thousands made their way to work inside the Twin Towers offices, filled with chatter, phones ringing, and coffee cups clinking. No one had the faintest idea that, in just a few hours, the world outside those windows would never look the same again. At airports across the East Coast, 4 commercial flights prepared for long journeys to Los Angeles American Airlines Flight 11, United Flight 175, American Flight 77, and United Flight 93. Passengers boarded, flight attendants smiled, and engines roared to life. But among them were 19 men with a single purpose, a mission planned in silence, coordinated to strike at the very heart of America. At 7:59 a.m., American Airlines Flight 11 lifted off from Boston, bound for Los Angeles. On board, 92 people settled in for what seemed like a normal flight. But minutes later, the plane's transponder suddenly went silent. No signal, no response. At 8:46 a.m., Flight 11 crashed straight into the North Tower of the World Trade Center.
It's 8:52 here in New York. I'm Brian Gumble. We understand that there has been a plane crash on the southern tip of Manhattan. You're looking at
a massive fireball erupted through the building. Smoke filled the sky as glass and steel rained down. People on the streets looked up in horror, thinking it was a tragic accident. But after 17 minutes, United Airlines Flight 175 slammed into the South Tower live on television. The explosion tore through the skyline. In that single moment, all doubts vanished. This wasn't an accident. America was under attack. Another plane, American Airlines Flight 77, vanished from radar. At 9:37 a.m., it crashed into the Pentagon.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. We're looking at
the very heart of U.S. military command. And soon after, reports emerged of a 4th hijacked plane, United Flight 93, heading toward Washington, D.C. At 10:03 a.m., that plane crashed into a field in Pennsylvania, saving countless lives on the ground. Within less than 2 hours, the world's most powerful nation was under attack. The calm morning that began with sunlight and routine had turned into the darkest day in modern history. The air was filled with smoke, the streets covered in ash, and the sound of sirens echoed through every block. People ran without direction, looking up in disbelief at the burning towers, symbols of America's pride, now turned into pillars of fire. Firefighters, police officers, and ordinary citizens rushed toward the disaster, not away from it. Inside the Twin Towers, thousands were trapped, climbing down endless staircases, calling loved ones for the last time, or praying they'd make it out alive. No one truly understood what was happening. At 9:59 a.m., after burning for nearly an hour, the South Tower began to collapse.
On videotape, the collapse had just happened.
The upper floors gave way first, and in seconds, the entire building crumbled floor after floor until all that remained was a cloud of dust and steel. People who were just blocks away were swallowed by a wave of debris and silence. 17 minutes later, at 10:28 a.m., the North Tower followed. In less than 2 hours, the mighty Twin Towers, once the tallest buildings in the world, were gone. The heart of New York had fallen. News channels played the same horrifying images again and again: the planes, the explosions, the collapse. The horror wasn't over. Across the river, smoke rose from the Pentagon. And in Pennsylvania, the wreckage of United Flight 93 lay scattered across a quiet field. The United States, the most powerful country in the world, was under attack, and no one knew who would strike next. In just one morning, the world had changed forever. New York's skyline was gone, thousands of lives were lost, and millions of hearts were broken. People wandered the streets in shock, founding their loved ones who never came home. Airports across the United States shut down. Every plane in the sky was ordered to land immediately, something that had never happened before in American history. The skies went quiet. Military jets began patrolling, unsure if more attacks were coming. Inside the White House, the president was rushed to safety, and for hours, even America's leaders didn't fully understand who was behind this nightmare. At 9:42 a.m., all civilian air traffic across the country was grounded. More than 4,000 planes. People around the world watched live as America, the most powerful nation on Earth, seemed frozen in disbelief. The Twin Towers' symbols of strength and success had vanished. The Pentagon, the nation's defense center, was burning. And a field in Pennsylvania had become a symbol of sacrifice, where passengers of Flight 93 fought back and prevented another disaster in Washington, D.C. By evening, the images of the attacks had been broadcast across every screen on the planet. Families clung to their televisions, crying, praying, and searching for names on the endless list of the missing. In hospitals, doctors worked non-stop. Firefighters and police officers who survived went back into the ruins to look for their friends. Many of them would never be the same again, their lungs filled with toxic dust, and while the world mourned, questions began to rise. How did this happen? How could 4 commercial airliners be hijacked so easily in the world's most secure airspace? Where was the intelligence that should have warned about such an attack? The answers would come slowly, buried in investigation reports and hidden documents. But for now, America was preparing for something even bigger: revenge. That night, President George W. Bush addressed the nation from the Oval Office. His words were clear and cold. We will make no distinction between the terrorists who committed these acts and those who harbor them. It was the beginning of a new chapter, the War on Terror. In the days that followed, the United States launched the largest manhunt in history. All eyes turned toward a name that soon every household would know: Osama bin Laden, the mastermind behind the attacks, hidden somewhere in the mountains of Afghanistan. If you want me to uncover how America took its revenge, tell me in the comments below. Should I make a video on Hunt of Osama bin Laden?